Hey everyone, John P here. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you my 3 choices of watches that for around $10,000 or under, you can have an iconic watch collection. This is going to be a recommendation that I make for people all the time that are maybe newer to watches, maybe they've retired and they want to just buy 3 watches that are iconic, will last, will stand the test of time, be relevant in the future, were relevant in the past, be under that 10K mark, and still tick every box for their day-to-day life. Now, there is going to be, different variables and factors for everyone out there in the world, like the type of life that you live, how you spend your day, what activities you do. So there are going to be some variations here. You could swap out some watches. We'll talk about it. But these 3 watches, I think, tick the boxes for most people that I see out there, especially working with so many of you collectors out there in the world with Del Rey Watch, where we buy, sell, and trade watches. I've been fortunate enough to get to know so many of you out there and really see the types of things you put in your collection, which watches you wear, which watches you don't. So I'm going to share with you here in just a second. But guys, also please do not forget to go over to my Instagram, The Real John P, where you can ask me questions for short form and long form content in the future. And we've just made another pass at trying to double our inventory size at delraywatch.com, but it appears that the watch market is coming back pretty quickly, maybe not in prices for some of the more desirable brands and models, kind of the blue chip AP, Patek Philippe, and Rolex, but outside of that, there seems to be kind of a resurgence in demand for watches, so it's very cool to see, and I'm very blessed and fortunate to be here working with all of you collectors out there. So the first watch that I'm going to recommend is going to be a Rolex, either Oyster Perpetual or Datejust. Now, let me first say that there's going to be 3 categories that we're going to fit a watch in. There's going to be a sportier, a more casual, or a dress, depending on your lifestyle, and there's going to be an everyday wear. So for the Rolex Oyster Perpetual, or maybe you could even swap it out for a Datejust if it's more your style and you're willing to go in the back catalog for an older model to make that 10K price point work. This is going to be a watch that you could dress up or dress down. Now, the beautiful thing about the Oyster Perpetual is not only do I have one in my collection, but so many people tend to gravitate towards it. It's a more entry-level watch from Rolex, so it helps us hit that price point mark. But over the years, they've made so many different sizes, dials. It's simple, it's rugged, it's durable, it's a workhorse watch. It's still a luxury watch. It comes from Rolex after all, but it's a watch that is so versatile, and depending on the year, the size, the model, so many things, you can dress it up or dress it down. Even today, I have my OP39 Red Grape on an aftermarket black rubber strap, and so it works very well for South Florida, but you could put it on a leather strap and kind of dress it up a little bit, wear it to the office, or pop it on this with a bracelet, have fun with it in that regard. So Rolex Oyster Perpetual, or maybe if you want to get a little fancier, dressier with it, maybe an older Datejust, I would recommend, surely going to stand the test of time. Now that takes us into a watch category, which I would say, could be a little bit sportier or a little bit dressier. Once again, how you wear it. This is going to be an Omega Speedmaster. Now, sure, the chronograph functionality, basically timekeeping, measuring the time of certain things, that's what the chronograph is for. That might not be that too useful, right? It's not going to be too useful or relevant today, considering for the most part, everyone has a smartphone. It has a stopwatch capability in that way, and it's going to be more accurate. But there's something about the look and feel of the chronograph watch that, every brand pretty much has to have in their catalog, regardless of the functionality or if people intend on using it. So I would recommend the Omega Speedmaster. A Speedmaster from 50 years ago looks like a Speedmaster that comes out tomorrow, which is so awesome. So I would recommend the last generation. You're going to get a better price on it, and people tend to think the bracelets are a little bit more comfortable. The choice is yours, but certainly if you get a little bit older, get into the late 1980s to the early 2000s, a sweet spot of value, quality, and price. So I would look at the Omega Speedmaster, and if Omega is not your thing, or maybe in the other category you wanted to swap out a Rolex Oyster Perpetual for something like, let's say, an Omega Seamaster Aquaterre, because Rolex is not your thing. You don't want to have 2 Omegas. Maybe even get yourself into one of the options of a Breitling Navitimer. Sure, maybe not as iconic as the Omega Speedmaster, but certainly up there in terms of being a watch icon and a quality watch as well. So a Breitling Navitimer would be a good alternative. Now, lastly here, this is going to be kind of the beater or the clunker, and that's not going to be, I'm not trying to say anything negative about it because this particular brand, I would say Seiko. A Seiko makes a phenomenal watch that you can really not worry too much about. Now, everything is relative, right? Seiko, a Seiko 5 may be a luxury watch to some, and for others, it may be an everyday wear. So, your own specific circumstance is going to come into play here. But even myself, I picked up a Seiko Mini Turtle. Someone traded this in at Del Rey Watch, and I thought it was just so much fun. I actually put a different Seiko bracelet on it that I had in my collection, and I've just found that I can wear these Seiko watches anywhere. I can put them down, and I don't necessarily have to worry about, okay, am I storing this properly? Is it insured? Do I have to worry about the seals if I jump in the pool or the steam room or the sauna or any of that kind of thing? Like, sure, those are all factors, but the downside risk is a lot lower, and it's truly a watch you can pop on your wrist, forget about it, set it down, and not worry too much. So I love that. So I think everyone really should have a watch in this kind of category. Citizen makes some watches in the same range that are good kind of everyday beaters, if you will, not to be too negative about it. But I think this is a great category that everyone needs to have. And if you kind of look at the Seiko watches, Seiko has become a pop icon for watches in their own regard. So what do you guys think? For 2023, there's so many watches. New watches come out every day, micro brands, main brands, so many options. But I think these three watches, or in the case of the Seiko, these categories of watches should fit the bill and check the boxes for most people out there looking to make a watch collection $10,000 and under, and be able to check all the boxes for every type of thing they're going to be doing in their life. Let me know what you think. Comments below. Please do not forget to check out Del Rey Watch. You can find me at Instagram, TheRealJohnP. We'll see you next time. You've been chatting with John P.